بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها لها ما كسبت وعليها ما اكتسبت ربنا لا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا أو أخطأنا ربنا ولا تحمل علينا إصرا كما حملته على الذين من قبلنا ربنا ولا تحملنا ما لا طاقة لنا به واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. فما استطاعوا أن يظهروه وما استطاعوا له نقبا
الحمد لله كما علمنا أن نحمد وأصلي وأسلم على خير خلق الله سيدنا Muhammad. Welcome again to another episode of our series. Today we are going to talk about an aspect in Arabic language where adding more words, actually more letters to a word sometimes give it a deeper context. And we will address it with two pairs of words. The first pair of words which we see a lot is the word kasaba and the word iktasaba. In Arabic, kasaba is gain. It's you're gaining something. And when we say iktasaba, of course it has to add a different meaning. The most famous use for it in the Holy Quran, when it talks about gaining, resources, gaining money, making wealth. Or even more famous use is when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about the good deeds with the word kasaba and with the bad deeds with the word iktasaba. For example, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not ask anyone to perform something that's beyond their capability. Then Allah says لها ما كسبت, for it what it gained, وعليها ما اكتسبت, and against it is what it put effort to gain, iktasaba. So let's look at kasaba and iktasaba. Why does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala use the smaller verb kasaba for good deeds and iktasaba for the bad deeds? One apparent reason for that is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He created us naturally good. So for example, to tell the truth, you don't have to put an effort. It's effortless. As they say, if you tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything. But if someone is trying to lie, as they say in Arabic, إذا كنت كذوبا فكن ذكورا. If you're a liar, at least have good memory. Because each time you have to make up the same story. If every day you make up different story, so you see there's already an effort. So iktasaba, you have to put extra effort to attain that. And subhanAllah, when you look, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made the truth, made hasanat easy, but people tend to put extra effort to gain sayyi'at. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لها ما كسبت وعليها ما اكتسبت. However, let's look in one verse when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, بلى من كسب سيئة وأحاطت به خطيئته. Allah here talks about a special type of people, and He says, بلى من كسب سيئة. We know kasaba is the easy verb, the effortless, that's usually for doing good deeds. But here Allah says, whoever effortlessly gains sayyi'at. So is that a violation of the rule, or is that an exception to the rule, or what? What Shaykh Sha'rawi rahmatullahi alayhi was saying, it talks about the type of person where lying or doing mischief and bad deed becomes their habit. It becomes effortless. Like if he always has a choice to do good or bad, naturally bad comes out. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like if he sees money, for example, before thinking, shall I look whose money is that? No, how do I steal it? The very first thing that comes to his mind is, going the bad route. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's not arbitrary to use kasaba in here, but it's intentional to indicate that the nature of that person has reversed. So doing the bad thing became effortless. They don't have, they could make up a lie anytime. They don't even have to think about it. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says after that, about such person, بَلَا مَنْ كَسَبَ سَيِّئَةً وَأَحَاطَتْ بِهِ خَطِيئَتُهُ. He was surrounded by his sins, which shows that state of that person, he's totally surrounded by sins. He doesn't even see light or goodness. So, as we see, we hope not to get in such state. And usually bad company, people where you look around you and everything you see is evil, all your friends are bad. After a little while, the nature gets reversed, and lying and doing bad deed becomes effortless. And that's the case that we talked about in that verse. So we saw how kasaba is the easy verb for good deeds. If you add more letters, that means it's going to deeper meaning. And in here, in this case, it means more effort to gain things. That was one pair. Let's look at another pair in Quran, which was mentioned in Surah Al-Kahf in more than one occasion, and which is in the story of Prophet Musa alayhi salam with Al-Khadr alayhi salam as well, when he asked him to teach him some knowledge, and Al-Khadr alayhi salam said, قَالَ إِنَّكَ لَن تَسْتَطِيعَ مَعِيَ صَبْرًا. And then at the very end he told him, سَوْنَبِّئُكَ بِتَأْوِيلِ مَا لَمْ تَسْتَطِعْ عَلَيْهِ صَبْرًا. And then he said, ذَلِكَ تَأْوِيلُ مَا لَمْ تَسْطِعْ عَلَيْهِ صَبْرًا. So يَسْتَطِيع in Arabic means able to. He's able to do something. So Al-Khadr alayhi salam, when he came to explain to Musa alayhi salam the three incidents about the boy and the ship and that village, he told him, I will explain to you the reasoning behind the stuff that you could not be patient about. مَا لَمْ تَسْتَطِعْ عَلَيْهِ صَبْرًا. He used the full verb. It's like the things that you were not able to be patient about them. When he explained to him the context of each case about the boy and the ship and the village, people of the village, what did he tell him? He said, ذَلِكَ تَأْوِيلُ مَا لَمْ تَسْطِعْ عَلَيْهِ صَبْرًا. He did not say تَسْتَطِعْ. He dropped one letter. He said, this is the explanation for the things that you were not able to have patience with. But able at the top is different from able at the bottom. تَسْتَطِعْ, you could. تَسْطِعْ means it's easier. And what Al-Khadr alayhi salam wanted to indicate to Musa alayhi salam is like, at the beginning I used the hard verb. Once I explain it to you, I use the easy verb. In other words, if you have waited for me to make the explanation, it will be easy to understand. As if you come to a child and you give him an exam and he looks at the questions and they're very difficult, and you tell him, let me explain to you those difficult questions. And once you explain it to them, say, see, I explained to you those not so difficult questions. Now they look not so difficult once he saw the answers. So in that context, when the Khadr alayhi salam wanted to indicate difficulty, he said tastata', the full verb. When he wanted to give him a hint between the line that wasn't it easy, he used the lighter verb tastata'. In the same surah, in Surah Al-Kahf, when in the story of Dhul Qarnayn, when they told him, can you build, a dam or something between us and the Ya'juj or Ma'juj, he told that those people, instead of building a dam, I will build you, a mountain. And once this mountain is done, what did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say about it? فَمَا اسْطَاعُوا أَن يَظْهَرُوهُ وَمَا اسْتَطَاعُوا لَهُ نَقْبًا. He's talking about the people of Ya'juj and Ma'juj, say they were not able to climb it. فَمَا اسْطَاعُوا أَن يَظْهَرُوهُ وَمَا اسْتَطَاعُوا لَهُ نَقْبًا. And they were not able to dig a hole in the mountain. Well, what's easier? To climb a mountain, like a big mountain, or to dig a hole through it and come out to the other end? Well, obviously, climbing a mountain is easier than, penetrating it. So for climbing, say, فَمَسْطَعُوا, the lighter verb. And for digging inside, say, وَمَسْتَطَعُوا لَهُ نَقْبًا. So when sometimes in Arabic you drop one letter, you make the verb lighter, it indicates less of that. If the verb talks about effort, it means the heavier verb is more effort. Here, ista'a and istata'a talks about ability. So when it's istata'a, is more ability. So we saw in those two contexts how Prophet Musa, he did not have patience to understand the reason between of those three incidents. So Al-Khadr used the heavier verb. Once he explained it, it became easier, used the lighter verb. Dhul Qarnayn, when he built in the mountain, Allah described the mountain that it's hard to climb, but it's even harder to dig through, and he used that through the use of ista'a and istata'a. So those are some aspects of how words look similar, but one letter could mean something, or it either adds a meaning or changes the meaning itself. So may Allah guide us and give us more understanding of the Quran, and more importantly give us the ability to practice what we learn and apply it and teach it to others. وجزاكم الله خير. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.